So the footballers, let me start that again. The footballers are revolting, not in that way. They are actively, or at least one or two of them seem to be actively pushing back against the complete capture of the institution of football that has been undertaken by woke leftists, pushing BLM kneeling and etc., etc., etc. What you would expect is that they are trying to remake football in their image of the globalist, welcoming, diverse future. Whereas it seems that some footballers are just saying, at least quietly, just going like, no, let's not do that. Or at least they're pushing people who are pushing the right messages. And before I go further, I'll just point out that Carl and John, a few months ago, back in February, quite a while ago now actually, had this premium hangout on why woke remakes are evil. And I think it is important to point out that these remakes are an interesting case because they're not only trying to remake something as like a little piece of side content when you're looking at media and films and such. They're not just trying to get a cash grab off it, although they are trying to make money and that is a priority. They also want the new thing to function as a permanent replacement. And with that comes the new values that they've inserted into that replacement. They want you to go, why would you watch this old, stupid, fuddy-duddy version when you can watch the new, exciting, radical, and extreme version? And this fails every time, of course, as it should, but it's important to remember that that's why they're putting the messaging in. If these were just pure cash grabs, they wouldn't feel the need to put the messaging in because they'd just be trying to make money. But the fact that they're trying to replace them as well as remake them is why they want to put the messaging in. And also, you've got to remember as well that outrage at race swapping generates easy publicity and dunks that you can do on social media, which is good for advertisement. But before I get onto the football specifically, let's look at an institution that is still very much captured and in the thrall of woke leftist politics, and that would be Hollywood. Hollywood and Walt Disney in particular, who have generated a lot of controversy with this recent trailer for their new film, The Little Mermaid. I say new when it is in fact, of course, a remake. And here's the trailer for it. That let's just let that play. Tell me if you notice anything unusual or different from the. I assume you've watched the original from the 90s or the late 80s, I should say.
Funnily enough, no.
Have you actually not?
No.
Oh, fair.
Disney princesses didn't appeal to me as a kid.
Fair play. I was just watching like everything Disney. But one thing that you may notice, that you may be aware of, is the character of Ariel. And she looks a bit different. She looks a bit different in this.
New hairstyle?
Yeah, new hair. New a lot. New a lot, actually. Let's see the side-by-side comparisons in this next tweet I've got here, John. If you could scroll down here.
Yeah,
thank you. Something unusual has gone on.
New outfit?
That's right. They've desaturated all the colours. And it looks bloody awful, if I'm honest. Obviously, they've race-swapped Ariel, and everybody's a bit annoyed about that.
I genuinely, for a moment, thought this was a Netflix meme, like you were pulling a switcheroo on me.
No, this is what it actually is. The Netflix meme is now the Disney meme, because Disney are very happy and eager to do this sort of thing. But yeah, I just want to point out, as well as the obvious race-swapping, why does it look so desaturated and ugly? Every one of these new Disney remakes looks as though they've smeared the camera lens in oil, and I just don't like it. It's just a very unappealing look to me.
Like the left, like the imagery looks far more fun.
It does, and the fans have voiced their disapproval. If we go to the next one, this is John's tweet that he put out. Scroll down so we can see that like to dislike ratio. I can see the fanboys, the Disney shills, came out in force, 375,000 of them, and fair play for the effort, boys, but the dislikes are somewhat overwhelming them. Just a little bit. And I do always think when something...
1.2
Yeah. I do think when something like this happens, I do feel slightly bad for the actors involved, but at the same time, they still accepted the role.
Yeah, like you signed on to be a diversity hire, you knew it was stupid.
You should know what's going to happen. It was like a diversity hire on the Supreme Court. So when she got all the criticism, it's like, Biden specifically said he was hiring you because you're a black woman. You should know that the criticism is coming. I mean, come on. And with the criticism that came with this, a lot of people saying Ariel was white, actually, don't you remember? We got the Disney shill backlash on Twitter, exemplified by a few that I picked out here, including this man who's coming out with the shocking take. It's a kids movie, bro. Why do you care? It's an underwater wizard movie for kids. Why should you care? Racism is crazy because I'm seeing grown men act like they care about a Little Mermaid movie. I don't think most of them actually care about the film. They more care about the fact that they're kids.
Okay, we'll redo Mulan and make her white. It's just a kids movie.
Yeah, it's just a kids' movie. I do find it hilarious that these people making these comments are leftists when their entire shtick, as far as I'm aware, is being overgrown children.
Yep, there's that too.
Yes, but they mainly care because their kids will be watching these, and they can recognise through this that their kids are being raised by films made by a company that hates the parents and hates the values that they want to impart on their kids and is actively doing everything possible to distort those. So that might be why you should care. And there was also...
There's a really good way of putting it, because it's like, oh, it's a stupid kids movie, why do you care? It's like, yeah, it's almost like the kids of the future. And I care for my children?
Yeah, I care about the morals that my children, take on, that I'm trying to impart to them. Maybe we should be trying to teach them the good morals, but no, Disney doesn't care about that. Disney doesn't care about that. And then we've got these really weird ones where they're saying, oh, actually, the original Little Mermaid is a queer man self-insertion character because it's Hans Christian Andersen, who was supposedly gay. Writing in the 1800s, and it's like, well, that doesn't actually have anything to do with the narrative, though. But of course, leftists really can't help.
So the female mermaid is meant to be a gay man.
Yes,
I'm not sure I buy that.
I don't either. I'm not sure either. But leftists can never help but put sexuality on literally everything because their minds are riddled by porn. These people are arch coomers. We can't be surprised that they look at a children's story and go, gay that. Just the way that they couldn't look at two men.
Well, I don't think that's porn. That's queer theory. I mean, literally, we've read the text, so they're just like, yes, we should engage in...
It is queer theory, but it's much easier to project this sort of stuff onto stuff if your brain is already addled by porn.
Maybe, but I think these people are just perverted by queer theory and the rest of it. There are plenty of people.
I think they're perverted in more than that.
There are plenty of people engaging in photography who do not end up like these weirdos.
That might be true, but it doesn't help. It really doesn't help. And then there's the ones who are just, saying die mad. It's like, okay, well, that makes it very clear what's going on. So the original...
Bring out the white George Floyd movies.
Well, that's the thing. Given that Hans Christian Andersen was a Danishman, it's a Danish folktale and therefore has a lot of character and value taken from the Danish roots that it comes from.
Leonardo DiCaprio is an American. George Floyd was an American. So what would be the problem?
Yeah. What's the problem there? But that's why they want to have control over this and they want to shove this in your face because they want it to demoralize us. They want it to show us that everybody else is allowed their heritage, but not us. We're not allowed the heritage because that will destroy us. And it's why I think you remember they got really angry about the Northman when that came out a few months ago. Well, that's because that was a Nordic folktale told as the Nordic folks from back in the day probably would have wanted. They go, he has strong baby and then kills his enemy. Oh, this is excellent. And they really didn't want that because we're not allowed to have our culture.
You notice at no point in that description are you like, yeah, white man. No, the tale is about the strength of the character.
Yeah, of course, but they only see things through the racial lens. And then the best response to all of this, might have been China, who went full return to tradition by creating an AI that de-Netflixes, shall we say.
Huh.
A particular property, and I think they're looking to implement this on the full film potentially. So
that'll work.
People say that China has existed purely through stealing Western innovation, but this is an innovation I don't see the West putting forward anytime soon.
I love the idea that China's like, no, you must return to the West.
Yeah, I mean, China's showing us how it's really done, and but really, the little
CCP's like return to tradition.
It's amazing.
That's really advanced as well.
I can't believe they do. According to John, they've already done it to the full trailer. And they also say it only takes about 24 hours to do the full 2-hour movie.
Oh, it's
when it's out.
So that means all the pirated versions, like when you see them, it's going to be that one. Like, that's how it's going to work as well.
This is going to be the most pirated film in history. But with the Little Mermaid, you're lucky if it's only a race swap that they pull and they don't just actually upend the entire moral of the story. Like I saw this yesterday that I thought was very, very interesting. It was Possum Reviews, who does good work on Twitter. He posts just random reviews of films on Twitter. And he was talking about the Pinocchio live-action remake. Did you know that was coming out?
No.
Neither did I. But apparently people have gone to see it because people have kids and they see a Pinocchio film and foolishly they think, oh, that will be...
for children.
Yes, this will be for children and be the exact same as what I remember it being when I was a kid watching the cartoon. But it's not. And it's not even just that they've, I don't know if they've race swapped characters or anything, or the CGI is bad, or once again, the color grading is absolute trash. Why is Pinocchio just some brown sludge on the screen right there?
But
There's
also,
no contrast.
I can barely even see anything in that slide. It's not just me, right? Like, everything's so dark. It's like,
Yeah, I
can't
don't
actually
get
see
why
what's
it is.
going on. Anyway, but I think you're right.
It maybe makes sense when Tim Burton did Dumbo, even though why did Tim Burton do Dumbo? But you kind of expect a dark aesthetic from him, but every single one of them is doing this. And I imagine it might just be because they're really cheap. They're probably just really cheap. But he says... throughout this, it's more than just all that they also do something really messed up storytelling-wise. In the original movie, Pinocchio is convinced by Honest John to skip school and join Stromboli's travelling show. This makes sense because Pinocchio is naive and has no moral compass yet. But in the remake, Jiminy Cricket successfully convinces him not to listen to Honest John, so Pinocchio goes to school and then gets kicked out because he's not a real boy. Then Honest John offers to take him to Stromboli again, and that's when he goes. And then, so what this means is instead of Pinocchio being naive and lacking moral guidance, having character flaws that he should learn from, that children can take important messages from, it's now framed like he had no choice but to take his offer.
It was the institutional racism of the school.
It was society. It was society that victimized Pinocchio. Remember, kids, you've got nothing to learn in your life. You're already perfect. It's society around you that is what will cause you to fail. So the messaging is quite insidious because on a first viewing, a lot of people wouldn't pick up on that subtle change. But to a kid whose mind is very pliable, you're very vulnerable to this kind of thing, it's really insidious.
But also just the discussion that must have taken place at the writer's room. I'm like, well, we got the script. It's the old script, of course, so maybe a couple of changes. And someone's like, yeah, what if we make, puppetism a thing in the school? What?
the teacher, they just really hate puppets for some reason.
You just let everyone else in the room like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, they're coming in, the puppets are stealing people's jobs. It's like, yeah, but I would say obviously race swapping and such is not good, but this is, as far as I'm concerned, much worse. Yeah, because this is the lessons that these people are taking from. But now let's get on to the football, because as we all remember, football is something that has been captured for a long time. And one of the reasons I think that this is one, incredibly naive captains like Gareth Southgate, who just unquestioningly goes along with the current narrative because, I mean, he's a footballer. Let's not give him too much credit in the old intellect department. He knows how to kick the ball from one side of the field to the other. Not disparaging any of the football fans watching this. I'm just not a football fan myself. So if I do get anything wrong with this, please correct me.
But also, I think everyone who likes football would agree.
Yeah, everyone who likes football agrees. These people are not Mensa candidates.
I can't remember who it is, but I remember one of them started setting off fireworks in his bathroom, thinking that would work. I can't remember. Someone will correct me and say who it is, but I just remember some footballer doing that.
Was it New Year's and he was celebrating?
Yeah. I think it was either his birthday or New Year's. So he set him off in the bathroom, thinking, "Oh well, yeah, if it blows up, I could just use a shower, right?" It burned down his house. It's like, you're an idiot.
Oh my God, what a moron. But yeah, so you've got the naive managers and then the actual businessmen at the top of like the UEFA League and such are probably being pushed by organisations like the World Economic Forum and such because they don't want any aspect of your, daily life to be non-political. They want you to be demoralised. They want it so that even if you're just on a Sunday night or a Friday night or something, sat around the TV watching the football with the lads or your family or something, that you can't escape the racial politics that are only designed to tell you that you're a bad person because of what people who might have shared a skin colour or ethnicity did with you, share that with you did, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. The bad things. You're only allowed to feel the bad things. Not the good things, though. British Empire ending slavery, ignore. Throw that aside. You're only supposed to remember that they had slavery in the first place, and you should feel bad about it.
And then question mark, today.
Yes, that somehow connects to our situation today. So it's just another attempt to demoralize people. And people weren't happy with this because last year when they were doing the European Cup, they started taking the knee and people didn't respond too nicely to this. People were booing them. People were saying that this was outrageous. People were complaining that they didn't want their football politicised so much, which were all fair points. And to which Gareth Southgate said that he was pleading them to stop jeering his team and says that those booing aren't understanding the message. No, they are understanding the message.
Actually, get lost.
Yes, actually much better than some naive idiot like you ever would understand the message, Gareth. So this, for a while, has made people very suspicious of sports leagues. You get the same sort of thing over in NFL. Colin Kaepernick was the guy who started off the taking the knee thing in the first place. But things might be shifting a little bit in the wake of the Queen's death, at least maybe temporarily, because you had people like this, Trevor Sinclair, a footballer, a former West Ham player, tweeting this out. Racism was outlawed in England in the 60s, and it's been allowed to thrive, so why should black and brown people mourn? #Queen. Obviously, in the wake of the Queen's death, saying, why should we care? All you did was subjugate us, colonizer.
Now, I mentioned this back when we did the segment on it. I didn't realise, my dad has informed me. Trevor here, do you know anything about his run-ins with racism?
No.
He's actually a racial abuser.
Oh, really?
Like, he got convicted of racially abusing a police officer. It was a white police officer that he'd been pulled over by, and he was like, you honky, blah, 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 blah.
Oh,
so
really?
He got convicted. So it's actually him bragging. He's saying that in the 60s it was made illegal and it's only been allowed to go up, which is thanks to me, Trevor Sinclair.
That's right. Sorry, I'm just a simple racism merchant.
Yeah, so there you have that.
I also find just the idea that you can outlaw racism hilarious, as if you just say you're not allowed to do it anymore, and then it just vanishes. It's like it just poofs out of existence.
It's like when David Cameron made child poverty illegal.
Yeah, it's
nonsense.
Yeah, it's like if I make the bad things illegal, then they're illegal. If I make being hungry illegal, no one's ever hungry again. It makes perfect sense. But yes, black and brown people, as far as I'm concerned, can mourn whatever and whoever they want. But most of them were actually quite grateful for the Queen's reign. And if you want to push revisionism, then you're lying. And the response was this from Talk Sport, actually, saying that Trevor Sinclair will not be on air while we carry out a thorough investigation into the circumstances and timing of his tweet. Because he was also
racially abusing police officers to evening.
Yes, he was also a pundit on Talk Sport. So they say, while we respect the right of Trevor Sinclair to express his opinion on his personal Twitter account, Talk Sport does not endorse this tweet. And to any criticism, all I can say is Talk Sport is a private company and they can do whatever they want.
I don't care anymore. I'm not taking it from leftists.
Yeah, so he threw out an apology, an incredibly poor apology, saying, oh, my tweet yesterday was ill-timed, at a time when the royal family and many around the world were grieving for the Queen. I apologise for any offence caused to those mourning the Queen, which is not a real apology. It's an, I'm sorry you feel that way.
You honky snow devils.
Yeah, sorry, I should have waited an extra 2 days or so to insult the Queen and those mourning her. So this is incredibly hollow, and he shows very clearly that he doesn't understand why people care so much about the Queen or why they're mourning her. But that's not the big news regarding football. The big news is that Jordan Peterson recently had a meetup, a very friendly meetup it seems, with Cristiano Ronaldo, of all people, who, being a non-football fan, even I've heard of Cristiano Ronaldo. I know he's one of the most popular footballers in the entire world, certainly one of the most successful and supposedly one of the most talented as well. And your face tells me that you're barely aware of what football is.
How did you guess?
So, do you know who Ronaldo is?
I've heard of the name.
You've heard of the name?
Yep.
He plays.
No, that's better than usual.
I mean, I was going to say, actually, no, you've heard of Ronaldo. You hadn't heard of...
Who's this Jordan Peterson fella? I never heard of him, though.
And you hadn't heard of Eric Clapton, so hearing about Ronaldo is maybe important. Do you know who Elton John is?
Yeah, he's that gay guy who whines about AIDS all the time.
He was also a singer in the 70s, but yeah, the gay thing is what people mainly know him for nowadays. So I'm surprised, honestly. Everyone at home give Callum a round of applause.
So what's this?
So it was just a picture. It was just that this Cristiano Ronaldo posted a picture, and Jordan Peterson responded, and it was very nice. And Ho's mad. Ho's very mad. Scroll down, and you can see the
do we not even have any idea what the hell they spoke about?
Not really, no. But it's honestly, I think it's very positive that someone like Jordan Peterson, who does appeal to the average everyman, probably your typical footballer, is getting massive exposure through being associated now with someone like Cristiano Ronaldo. Because Peterson pushes very positive messaging for young men, the idea that you can pull up your bootstraps, do good work, improve your life, appeal to your own sense of masculinity. And Ronaldo seems to be supporting that by publicly having his photo, and it's annoyed all of the right people, which is a good thing because he's faced criticism after posting a picture alongside friend and controversial psychologist Jordan Peterson. Despite this controversy, Ronaldo posted an image on Instagram alongside Peterson with the caption, "Nice to see you, my friend, #see you soon." And Peterson replied to the post, which has been liked almost 6 million times in 24 hours, saying, "I've rarely met anyone who more clearly deserved what they had earned. Good to meet you." Wholesome, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
The post sparked some negative reactions, however, with one fan suggesting it tarnished Ronaldo's legacy, and with the second posting, "Why is anyone even slightly surprised that someone as entitled as Ronaldo thinks Peterson is great?" But the funny thing is, these people can't just let a single thing lie, but these were the only two that they managed to pull up. So that's a very positive thing as far as I'm concerned. The backlash seemed to not be very great, even though the Mirror made an entire article about it. Jordan Peterson's getting massive exposure through Cristiano Ronaldo. This can only be a good thing. And Ronaldo, in contrast to Sinclair, even posted his thoughts on the Queen, saying, "7 years of my career were playing in the Premier League, making this my 8th season living in England. Throughout these years, I've felt the everlasting love of the UK for its Queen and how important Her Majesty was and will forever be to the British people. Pay my respect to her memory, and I mourn this irreplaceable loss with the country that I've learned to call home. My thoughts and prayers are with the royal family." So that's a very classy response. And much nicer than anything that someone like Trevor Sinclair put out. But then there was other footballers as well who've made news recently, including a man called Mora, who has been criticised for airing right-wing views and comparing communism to Nazism. Quite accurately so, I must say, as well.
I like this guy too.
Yes, he's apparently in Tottenham, and he's been criticised as well, saying this article says the Brazilian presidential elections, because this guy is Brazilian, take place next month, and Jair Bolsonaro, that's how you pronounce his name, right?
I have no idea.
I'll say Jair Bolsonaro, aiming to secure his second term in office. The 67-year-old is deemed as right-wing and has expressed homophobic, sexist, racist, and anti-environmentalist views on a number of occasions. People can only vote for him once, so calm down, guys. Calm down with all this good publicity. And this guy, Mora, has publicly endorsed his support for this man, saying on a podcast, "I have no problem in giving my opinion on this. I am a right-wing conservative. I follow Christian and family principles. I don't see a perfect presidential candidate, but I can't deny that Bolsonaro is the closest to what I believe. Lula supports everything I am against. His opponent, left-wing ideology, socialism, and even communism, which is nothing but Nazism. Supporting Lula is almost impossible." The 28-year-old doubled down on his comments on Twitter, saying, "Communism is the most advanced stage of socialism, and for me, communism and Nazism are two aberrations. Both have killed millions of people and are indefensible regimes. But if you want to counter that, prove it to me here with a successful example of communism." Rumours say he is still waiting. So, yeah, I think it's very positive that these footballers are coming out, both in terms of associating themselves with relatively based people, or just out and out coming out as, yes, I'm right-wing, yes, I'm a conservative, deal with it. Because the more we have public figures espousing these sorts of opinions, the more acceptable they can come in day-to-day conversation, and maybe more and more people can come over to our side when they actually hear the arguments made rather than the straw men that the media obviously portrays them as. So as far as I'm concerned, the league's maybe captured an elite level, but hopefully if enough footballers come out to non-woke sides, we can change something. We've got enough Marcus Rashfords. We need more of this guy.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as this premium article from John Tangney on being a conservative on campus, with a audio track for silver and gold tier members, of course. If you want to follow what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.